Call to order the Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Passner, please call the roll.
Commissioner Knobloch?
Here.
Commissioner No?
Here.
Commissioner Tremmel is absent. Commissioner Casey is absent. Commissioner Schmolke is absent. Commissioner Roniak?
Here.
Chair Schwartz?
Here. Thank you. Our next, we need to adopt the agenda.
Chair Schwartz,
Commissioner Knobloch.
I move that we adopt the agenda for this evening.
I second.
Motion by Knobloch, second by Roniak. Any additions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the agenda is adopted. Next, there is approval of the minutes of our August 21st, 2025 meeting.
Chair Schwartz,
Commissioner Noah?
just looked at the minutes, and I think on the first item, planning case 25-8, that Commissioner Schmolke dissented on that, so it wasn't unanimous. If I'm correct on that, so if we could make that change.
All right. With that, you want to make a motion?
Yes, I would make a motion to approve the amended minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion by Noel, second by Knobloch to approve the amended minutes. Any additional corrections or additions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the minutes are approved. Our first case for the evening is planning case 25-10. Use flexibility for indoor recreation, HM Medical Park LLC. Mr. Plaxman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. So I did get a request this morning for withdrawal of this application. So the applicant is requesting to withdraw the application for use flexibility for indoor recreation use at 1175 Hawley Street. So staff are asking the Planning Commission to open and hold the public hearing and to move to accept the withdrawal of the application. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I will open a public hearing in planning case 25-10, a use flexibility for indoor recreation for JHM Medical Park LLC. Anyone wish to speak to this public hearing? Anyone wish to speak? Seeing none, close public hearing. Commission?
Chair Schwartz, I propose that we move to withdraw planning case 25-10 from the docket. Since it's been withdrawn by the applicant.
I'd second that.
Motion by Knobloch, second by No. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion is now withdrawn. All right, our next case is planning case 25-7, an updated approval for a lot split and subdivision variance at 851 84th Lane Northwest, Candace, Toso. Mr. Platzner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. So staff are bringing this item back through the Planning Commission and the City Council and requesting that the Planning Commission and City Council reaffirm the approval of the variance and the lot split using the the required findings of section 11-304 of the City Code, which establishes a test for practical difficulty or standards for practical difficulty. And just to explain really quickly the background of why this is being done, there's currently a lawsuit that has been filed regarding the variance, and it was noted in this that the standards that the Planning Commission and City Council use to approve the variance were the standards of undue hardship, which are the standards required by the City Code in section 11-1500 for subdivision variance. These standards are no longer conforming with state statute. Statute requires that any approved variance meet the standards for practical difficulty. It is important to note that the standards for practical difficulty are generally easier to meet and have a lower threshold than the standards for undue hardship. So the requested variance in lot split has already met the standards according to the Planning Commission and City Council for undue hardship. Generally, if an item meets the standards for undue hardship, it can be reasonably expected that they'll meet the standards for practical difficulty. However, staff are requesting that the Planning Commission reaffirm that the request meets the standards for undue hardship and affirm that it meets the standards for practical difficulty. So I'm not going to go over the entire case again, though the requested motion by staff, or the recommended motion by staff, will be regarding the entire case, both the variance and the lot split. But I did include in the packet and in the staff report the standards for both undue hardship and practical difficulty, as well as staff's recommended findings on those standards. I've reduced them significantly, included them here in the presentation. So there's essentially the 6 standards for undue hardship that have already been found to be met that we're requesting that you reaffirm, as well as the 3 standards with 4 substandards, I guess, for practical difficulty that we are requesting that the Planning Commission affirm. So with that, I don't feel the need to go over them all in detail here at the meeting, but the recommended motions will be referencing the standards as written in the packet. So if there are any questions about anything that's written in the packet, any of these standards, any of the recommended findings related to these standards, please don't hesitate to ask. And the Planning Commission is also asked to hold a public hearing on the item. And that's all I have.
And when
Thank
we
you.
get to it, can we take both motions at the same time, or should we take them individually?
I think, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Buccione?
I'd suggest here we'll just take them separately. I think that makes some sense, and it's important to note we'd like the Planning Commission to consider this on its merits. Consider it like a new application. Thanks.
Thank you. Commission, any questions from Mr. Platzner at this time?
Are you recommending approval?
Yes.
Any other questions right now? All right, we do need the public hearing then, so at this time, I'll open the public hearing in planning case 25-7, updated approval for the lot split and subdivision variance at 851 84th Lane Northwest for Candace Toso. Anyone wish to speak to this public hearing, please come to the microphone, give your name and address for the record. Limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Bradley Kane. I live at 861 84th Lane Northwest. I share the north-south lot line with the people that like the lot split. Let's give you a little background. I was a plumber 18 years. Lived and died by the code. Know a lot about it. Took 2 years. Was a union plumber. So I'm just going to keep it real short here. The existing unsplit lot is conforming as it sits right now. There are no problems, not of the owner's own making, that would need to be addressed by a variance right now. Their desire to build a second home is of their own making, and so does not meet statutory requirements. There's no problem, actually, as it sits right now. There's no practical difficulties. The only practical difficulty is they want to build another house. So there is no variance requirement met. It needs to meet all of these requirements. And that one definitely is not met, because that's a want. I want to build a house on my property, so I want it split. It's not a difficulty or a hardship at any sort. So I'm not sure why we're here even again, but from what I understand is all the requirements have to be met, all. Not some or no variation. City code states it pretty clearly. And then I did see there was an easement, and it was quoted on the new lot line. I seen on the drawing, it's on my lot line that exists now. That creates another little problem, because the new lot line would be where the split is. My lot line's existing. It's just I didn't see it. I thought he was talking if it was split, but no, that would be on my lot line, which I'm not too happy about. But anyways, that's about what I have to say. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Hi, good evening. I'm here to oppose
I
approval.
need your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you for reminding me. Jody Kane, 861 84th Lane Northwest. I am on the adjoining property lot next to the 851 house. Brad's wife, and we share the joint line between the new, yeah. So I had a write-up, so I'm just gonna read from that. It's easier for me. So this property does currently support a reasonable use, a single-family home with adequate setbacks and a usable rear yard. And the burden of proof with difficulties lies with the applicant to show that difficulties are due to unique physical conditions of the land, not by decisions that they made voluntarily. And in this case, difficulty is not inherent to the land. It's a direct result of the applicant's choice to split the lot. This proposal fails both the difficulty and uniqueness tests. Even the city's own planner acknowledged that neighboring cul-de-sac lots have similarly narrow front setbacks, proving this property is not unique. The difference is that the proposed home would sit at the absolute minimum 40-foot setback, while every other home in the cul-de-sac and throughout Mississippi Oaks sit back significantly farther. That's not a difficulty, that's a design choice that disrupts the visual rhythm and privacy of the neighborhood. There's nothing unique about the property. It would become unique with the lot split and it being set unusually close to the curb, undermining the character of the neighborhood. Also very concerning is the rear setback violation on the existing home. Planning staff changed the measurement method, departing from the city's standard horizontal separation rear of house to the line to a diagonal line drawn to a wedge-shaped point within a protective bluff. And in the first hearing, Mr. Patzner stated that there are some elements in code that allow someone to pick which lot line they would like to be their front and which would become the side. But then he also admitted in the same sentence, this isn't quite within that category. Then suggested there could be argument for either west or south lot line being the front line, however, whatever makes the most sense. This house is south-facing. There's no doubt about that. And the way the property has functioned within the neighborhood for decades is with the front facing south. The house numbers are on the front of the house facing south. The side of the house that is proposed to be the new front of the house has a fireplace stack there. The south lot line faces the street. It aligns with the driveway and the entry and matches the front orientation of the surrounding homes. This appears to have been done not because of the land's physical characteristics, but to avoid triggering an additional variance. However, the survey submitted by the applicant clearly shows the rear setback from the rear west corner of the house to the new lot line is exactly 15 feet, in direct violation of code. This leaves the existing home with no usable rear yard. It's pushed up against a steep bluff in stark contrast to every other home in the cul-de-sac and the entire neighborhood of Mississippi Oaks. In this neighborhood, we have rear yards that are functional, open, and integral to the residential character of the area. And this proposal introduces problems that do not currently exist. Loss of privacy, diminished property values, increased congestion, and a dangerous precedent for future lot splits. The applicant has not proven practical difficulties or uniqueness. I urge you to deny this request. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Hello, Sarah Earhart. I live at 870 84th Lane Northwest, Coon Rapids. I share the cul-de-sac with the 851 home. I don't see how there is a practical difficulty for the applicant without the variance because their lot is similar in size, shape to all the rest of our neighboring lots in the area of Mississippi Oaks lot. They currently maintain their backyard, keeping it mowed, and they are free to use their backyard just like everyone else does. A lot width rule does not create a practical difficulty, but rather pertains to the land itself, and there is nothing unusual or unique about the property. The fact that their house sits near its east side does not make it a unique property. Their lot is similar to all the other lots in our neighborhood. Placing a new house right up near the curve in the cul-de-sac will make the house stand out like a sore thumb. It doesn't fit within our character of the neighborhood, and it will negatively impact our property values because of the increased density of the cul-de-sac, loss of privacy too. The increased traffic also raises concern for the safety of our children who play a lot in the cul-de-sac. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Anyone else wish to speak? Public hearing. Last call, public hearing. We'll close the public hearing, limit comments to the commission. Commission, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I have some. Max, you've researched the information that the First Lady submitted to the city, and everything she indicated, the city has agreed that that gentleman can split his lot based upon whatever codes and ordinances we have.
Commissioner
Correct.
Roniak, correct. Staff believe that the requested lot split meets all of required codes and ordinances, including, rear setback, measurement from the front lot line, which lot line is the front lot line, et cetera, with the exception of the requested variance, yes.
Okay. Also, I was surprised to see that the width of the lot, the proposed lot, is actually going to be wider at the street than some of the other lots that are existing. You had indicated in your report to us.
Commissioner Roniak, it's not wider, but the proposed width at the street is not wider than any other lots on this cul-de-sac, but it is wider than some lots on the cul-de-sac to the north, 85th Avenue Northwest. So I was referring to other lots in the general area, but not directly on that cul-de-sac.
Okay, so here's what I'd like to say about it. Now, I've been out to that area a couple times, and once you leave East River Road, the architecture in that small area down there is quite diverse. When you walk in, you've got an antebellum house, which is better in a plantation than what's there, and then on the opposite side of the street, you have a house that is sort of squeezed into an existing lot, and then you end up at the cul-de-sac. Now, in walking that cul-de-sac and looking at the vacant lot that's there, I tried to get an idea of what both parties are coming from. And looking at the cul-de-sac, I noticed that you've got a very unique neighborhood there. You people have been neighbors for, probably some of you had your children grow up together in that, and you became friends, I hope. And the situation is, this thing has been the second time it's here. The city has examined everything, they've looked at everything, and basically, according to their rules, the city has to approve this. This isn't a question. And we're sort of part of the city, even though we're a commission here, and we've got to live by those same rules. Now, once this thing is approved again, you people are still going to be neighbors. Whether you're friends or not, I don't know. But the situation is that eventually there's probably going to be a house built there. What size, description, or whatever it is, you're probably going to have to come to the realization that you're going to have to get together, maybe shake hands, say, okay, we've done what we could do. We're going to have to live what's there. Maybe it'll come out better than what it was. Hopefully, when the gentleman gets his house designed, he might come to you and say, okay, here's what I'm going to build. Got any ideas? Something that maybe appease you, maybe some landscaping, some vegetation, to make things look a little better. But the thing that you hopefully aren't going to do is be like the groups from, where is it, down in Kentucky,
Hatfields and McCoys?
yeah, and have this thing go on and on and on. it's gonna have to be put to bed pretty soon. Now, you probably aren't gonna get a house built this year, but the thing is that eventually, hopefully, something might be put there. And you people are gonna have to live together and exist. And you got that little nice cul-de-sac down there, and let's face it, if you need help, the closest people are your neighbors. And you want to still be able to talk to each other, and hopefully that you'll have a meeting, shake hands, and say, okay, we're done, let's move on. With that, that's all I have to say. I
Thank you.
yield.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Knoll.
I'd say the petitioner just seems to have the biggest lot in the neighborhood, which would sustain a second lot if we approve the variance. And as you look at the LDR1 district that you're in, and the one to the north of it, there's at least 3 or 4 homes on the cul-de-sac where that lot line does not meet the 100-foot wide. Just, it's kind of the nature of the cul-de-sac, there's a lot you can do about that. So just as I did last time, I feel like I'm ready to support this measure for the lot split, so.
Okay. Commissioner Knobloch?
How do you know? Yes, Chair Schwartz, I have a question for planner Patson. The question that kind of piqued my interest was, is there any impact to the city in regards, it mentioned legal, that there was a legal case pending against this application? Is that of any reference, or is it just a case of?
I'm going to allow Assistant City Attorney Bucciaconi to respond to that.
That would be wonderful.
Chair Schwartz.
Mr. Bucciaconi?
Commissioner Knobloch, I think the question is, should you take into consideration whatever might be going on in a court case?
The question would be more, is there any, I don't believe there is, but I want confirmation if there's any legal implication in regards to this variance that impacts the community and the city.
Okay, I see. I would tell you that that's not part of what the commission should be looking at right now. You should
Okay.
just be looking at the standards before you. Speaking generically, this is a recommendation, and then city council does their consideration, and there's always a right to appeal generically on everything we do, right? And it's different avenues for different kinds of things. So I'd encourage you guys to look at this in the context of the standards laid out in the memo, and frankly, we've provided you with pretty robust recommended findings here. And so if the motion is for approval, it's all sitting right there. And if the motion is for a denial, you let us know and we'll come up with something else. Okay?
Thank you for that illumination, clarification.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything?
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Knoll?
I'm just saying, planning case 25-7, I would recommend the approval of the requested variance under City Code 11-304.8 and 11-1504.7, based on the findings in our packet.
I'll second it.
Motion by Noah, second by Knobloch. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And that motion carries.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Knoll?
I'd also recommend in planning case 25-7 that we approve the proposed lot split, subject to conditions as listed in our packet.
I'll second it.
Motion by Noah, second by Knobloch. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that motion carries. These are recommendations by the planning commission, and will decision to the city council at their October 7th meeting. Thank you for coming, thank you for your input. All right, our next order of business is planning case 25-11, a conditional use permit for AAMCO at 2704 Coon Rapids Boulevard Northwest. Mr. Platzner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. I have before you a request for a conditional use permit for the site that is the former site of Alloy Brewing. There is a transmission repair company named AAMCO that is looking to potentially move into that site, and what they're proposing would be classified under major auto repair, which requires a conditional use permit in the GC, or General Commercial Zoning District. So this building is a separated building that's part of the general RPG Auto Mall, which is one large building with multiple tenants, and then a second separated building that's historically only had one tenant. This is the second separated building. Until recently, this building was occupied by Alloy Brewing. It's a 5,000 square foot building on about 3/4 of an acre, with access directly onto Coon Rapids Boulevard Service Road, and then a second access via the rest of RPG Auto Mall onto the Coon Rapids Boulevard Service Road. This building was used for a transmission repair business from about 1987 until 2013, when the owner applied to rezone the property to remove the PUD that had allowed transmission repair. And this rezoned the property to general commercial, in which Alloy Brewing was a permitted use. Now that Alloy Brewing is no longer in the site as of 2025, the owner and applicant are requesting a CUP, which is something that would be required to allow major automobile repair in the general commercial district. The site is also within the River Rapids overlay. The main element of the River Rapids overlay that applies to this site as regards to the use is that no spray painting or no automobile spray painting or automobile body work would be permitted. The applicant is not proposing any spray painting or automobile body work. So the applicant would be using the site as it currently is. They wouldn't be proposing a site plan or to make any exterior changes to the site other than aesthetic changes to the building. The applicant would be proposing to use the patio area, what's currently used as a patio area in the back of the site, which I've circled in red here, for staging or queuing vehicles for repair. They believe that about 8 vehicles would be able to be queued back there at a time. And that area has, I believe, in the past been used for parking, so this would be consistent with the way that it's been used before it was Alloy Brewing. And then they would also propose to use the parking lot in the front for staff and customer parking. There are 29 parking spaces in the front. Only 16 stalls would be required per the city code in terms of parking. So staff believe that the site has sufficient parking for the proposed use, and that there would be no risk of overflow parking or of vehicles needing to be parked elsewhere in the RPG Auto Mall or along the frontage road in order to access the building. What's being proposed inside the building is to modify it to go back to a transmission repair building. The service bays are generally still there, so the modification required is relatively minimal. They would have 5 service bays in the building, all dedicated for transmission repair. The AAMCO business does do other vehicle repairs incidental to transmission repair, including things like oil changes and other smaller repairs, but that's not the primary use of the business. Really, any business that does transmission repair would generally do other incidental repairs along with that. But the applicant does expect about 12 vehicles per week on average to be serviced at the site, so it's very low volume, high intensity kind of work. So more complex repairs that take a lot longer, and not a whole lot of cars coming in and out each day. What they're proposing in terms of hours of operation would be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays and 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturdays, so this would be daytime working hours of operation. And this is within the allowed hours of operation per city ordinance for a use like this. There is, I believe, already an oil separator in the sanitary sewer connection. I included that as one of the conditions of approval for the site, but I think it might already be present. So staff believe that because there's sufficient parking, because the building is already set up for that use, that a use like this would be appropriate in the building. The site is also screened on the south and west sides by what is, for the most part, an 8-foot tall opaque vinyl fence, as well as landscaping and trees, kind of trees and brush between the site and the adjacent residential areas. I believe that opaque vinyl fence is reduced to 6 feet on the very northwestern edge of the property. But the site is relatively screened from the adjacent residential uses. And I can go into that a little bit, just noting the orientation of the building. North, east, and southwest are the orientations of the service bay doors. So those doors would open up to the screening to the south that fronts 110th Avenue Northwest, and to the parking lot to the north that fronts Coon Rapids Boulevard. Neither would open up directly to any directly adjacent residential properties. The applicant is proposing to change the building aesthetically with new paint, new awning according to the AAMCO aesthetic standards. What's being proposed would need to fall within the city sign ordinance, which is usually not something that we bring up at a planning commission meeting, but because they did include in the packet the general standards for an AAMCO transmission repair site, I did just want to mention it. The city would allow up to 10% of the building face to be covered in signage up to 300 square feet. So it's likely that the signage shown in the aesthetic standards, the signage allowed by the city would likely be slightly less than that. The applicant would also not be able to put a new freestanding sign on site. They would need to use the existing monument sign. So I did just want to touch on that. Planning Commission city staff have suggested findings for the Planning Commission to make in approval of the conditional use permit. Staff are recommending approval. So Planning Commission must make findings to support a conditional use permit, as well as specific findings specific to the River Rapids Overlay District. So I do have the 6 standard conditional use permit findings listed here, as well as the 4 specific findings for the River Rapids Overlay District. And I am happy to answer any questions on the suggested findings, but these are also listed in the staff report. So with that, I am making a recommendation of approval with conditions, and I'll call out some of the notable conditions: that at least 14 parking stalls are available for customer or staff parking, because that is the number required to be available by city code. That no motor vehicle bodywork or spray painting occur on site per River Rapids overlay requirements. That an oil separator be connected to the sanitary sewer line if it is not already connected. That any work capable of producing noise, dust, or glare occur inside the building, which is already covered by the city code, but sometimes it's good to reaffirm these things. That no materials, equipment, or items other than road legal vehicles or trailers be stored outside the building overnight. So this would be any equipment or trailers would need to be stored inside the building. And that all vehicles on site remain in striped parking spaces when not in use. So with that, staff are recommending approval, and that's all I have for presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Platzner, you say that when the old transmission building or service was there before the brewery, it was a PUD. Is there a reason that we couldn't go back to a PUD for this?
Chair Schwartz, a PUD could only be put on a site of 3 acres or more, and since this site is below 3 acres, that would not be an option unless the PUD were to be put over the entirety of the RPG Auto Mall. In the past, the PUD covered the entirety of the RPG Auto Mall, but the applicant is only requesting for this specific site. And because a conditional use permit is an available option, because it's listed as a conditional use, that's generally seen as a quicker and less messy process for allowing something.
Thank you. Commissioner, any questions for Mr. Platzner?
Yes,
Commissioner
back to the-
Barniak.
previous page. Item 7 and 8.
Here?
Okay. You indicate no vehicles or any road legal vehicles to be left outside. Yet, just down the street at the body shop and other places, there's vehicles left out overnight, quite a few places. How does this requirement here different from the existing units that are out, body shops, repair shops? Are they being judged differently?
Commissioner Roniak, no, they are not being judged differently. Sometimes this comes down to enforcement. Sometimes there is a delay between an enforcement action and the property owner complying with the enforcement action. So if there are things other than road legal vehicles being stored outside these other sites, they absolutely shouldn't be, and code enforcement does take that seriously. But sometimes between being made aware of this and the owner complying, there's a delay.
So that's standard procedure throughout the city now?
It's standard procedure, at least within the River Rapids Overlay District, where it's a requirement that only road legal vehicles be stored outside. I would have to look, I can't speak to the city as a whole, but I believe that's a requirement in the River Rapids Overlay.
Thank you.
Anyone else, questions? All right, we need a public hearing in this matter. At this time, I will open a public hearing for planning case 25-11, conditional use permit for AAMCO, 2704 Coon Rapids Boulevard Northwest. Anyone wish to speak to this public hearing? Please come to the microphone, give your name and address for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hello, Commission. My name is Jared Clausen. I'm a current AAMCO franchisee in Hopkins and Fridley, Minnesota. My address is 11900 Shady Oak Lane, Minnesota 55343. I have been involved with AAMCO franchising since 2008. I own 2 existing franchises already within the chain. They're very successful. One of them in Hopkins, one of them in Fridley that's been open for over 50 years. It's a family business that I'm trying to pass on to my son. I have about 10 people on my staff. I'm the largest independent transmission franchisee with AAMCO in the upper Midwest by volume. I run very clean, tight operations, and I'm excited about the new opportunity to have a location here in Coon Rapids on a busy road in a good town. So to touch on a few of the things that he brought up about as far as what we do, it will be strictly auto repair, primarily engine and transmission repair, therefore the low car count. We do not have any non-road legal vehicles at our locations. We don't work on any wrecked cars or any body shop related work, so no spraying of any paint aerosols or body work or anything of that nature. So anything that we have will not only be licensed, but it will be movable at any time, at any request by the city or anyone else. So we'll definitely be able to meet those requirements. The building does have an existing oil separator in it already. I verified that by going down into the basement when I visited the property. It does have existing oil traps for oil changes and stuff, but we're not going to use those because they're a pit and they're a mess, and nobody likes to use that stuff. I honestly will probably be requesting at some point in time to fill those in and just make it a solid cement floor so that there's no longer any pits. They are safely and adequately covered, and they'll remain that way. Yeah, that's pretty much it about our business. I'm excited about the opportunity. There's 53 stores in the Midwest. I'm the only multi-center owner in the 6-state area surrounding us. And our store in Hopkins is the largest volume of those 53 in that area. And it's also the smallest footprint, so it's a busy place. I'm hoping to bring a lot of business to the area. I have a staff in place already to take over the store. I will personally be involved in all of the financing of and all of the logistical and matters of getting moved into the location. There will be some movement of some of our existing equipment and things from the other location in Fridley, Minnesota, but you know, it's pretty much just a brand new location. I do use a lot less signage than the existing picture that you guys saw on the slide, so that will not be any problem to adhere to the signage standards for the city. And I'm not requesting a freestanding sign either. It's expensive and unnecessary, so we'll keep it clean and nice and neat and make it compliant, and be excited about the opportunity. So thank you, Commission, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to speak to the public hearing?
Hi, I'm Leanne Slanga. I live at 2700 110th Avenue Northwest, Coon Rapids. I am directly behind the proposed location for AAMCO. My concern is if they're working on vehicles, will they keep the doors in the back of the building open, which would directly face, I mean, there is that fence, but it would face my house and the neighboring houses next to me. We are in HOA, so, you know, there's noise concerns as far as how loud will things get.
We'll have the applicant possibly attempt to answer that. Thank you.
Okay.
To answer that question, our current Fridley location is located on 940 Osborne Road, which is Osborne and Central Avenue in Fridley. It's directly across the street from residential on the north side of Osborne Road. It's about 50 to 60 yards from the front door to the very first house, which is, in what I've seen, probably quite a bit closer than the location here in Coon Rapids is to those homes. I've never had any noise complaints of any kind of issues there, and the business has been there for more than 50 years, as I stated. Like I said, we're a clean business. We have professional technicians and employees, and we're going to be respectful of our neighbors and all the people in the area. I wouldn't say we're an extremely loud type of business for an auto repair business, pretty typical of any other repair shop. You know, impact guns. We're not going to be running any auto body equipment or any pumps or any things of that nature. The air compressor for running the pneumatic tools and things will be housed in the basement of the building in a cage, so you won't even be able to hear it operate. So other than the sound of pneumatic air tools, there shouldn't be a whole lot of crossover there. And I intend to clean up the property and trim some of the bushes and trees and make sure that that fence is covered and everything looks nice. That's a very important thing to me in the brand standards that we require. We're not unlike other franchises like a McDonald's or an auto parts store that has very specific and strict standards of how we're supposed to look. So that's something that I'm not at all concerned about and has come into play at my other locations and has never been an issue. On the contrary, we've been long-standing 20-year plus residents of both of those stores and have a good standing in the community and continue to do that to this day. So that's my answer for you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else wish to speak to public hearing?
Good evening. My name's Tom Reese. I live at 1758 First Avenue in Anoka, Minnesota. After seeing how this planning commission works and hearing about somebody wanting to put a business in our community, and as a longtime resident of the area, seeing things sit empty, like the BP that's on that corner on Coon Rapids Boulevard, when I see a gentleman with a plan for business to occupy an empty space, I would tell this commission, I would love to see you guys approve of that based on the merits if it passes all your other rules. So it doesn't sit empty for years. Who knows when the next opportunity might come. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Anyone else wish to speak to public hearing?
Sorry, guys, I don't mean to keep you, I live a long ways away, but, no, I just wanted to thank the commission for your time and for listening to us, again, I've been with AAMCO since 2008, and my son's still in college, and he's planning to take over for me, so we're prepared to sign a 15-year lease. We have in tender already, conditional of this permit being issued. I have 11 years left on my franchise agreement with them, which I intend to renew after that time when I retire. You know, this is what I do. It's all I've ever done 46 years old, and I've been in the business since 1996. So we're coming here for permanency and to stay. We're not looking to be, like the gentleman indicated, a flash in the pan or leave the building empty. We're legally bound to be here, and I'm going to make every effort to make it positive and for us and for the city and everybody involved, and to make it a profitable and good business. So thank you again for your time, Commission. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Final call, public hearing. Close the public hearing, limit comments to the commission. Commissioner,
Yes.
Commissioner Roniak.
We gave another similar issue where we had a car wash. Was a car wash, became a car, it was gonna be a car wash in the beginning. Again, it was denied by the council. Here we have another building that was primarily used for very similar use, is back to going to similar use again. So it seems like these should be no-brainers. Now, obviously, the lady has a thing, and maybe in contact with the gentleman there, they maybe put up a privacy fence or some vegetation and things like that. The good thing about a transmission compared to a body shop, it's a lot quieter. So I don't think you're gonna get a lot of noise out of something like this. And as far as opening the doors, in the summertime, they're gonna open the doors. I don't see how they're gonna be able to operate without it. I don't think they're gonna air condition it. To me, it just seems that it's something that should just be, yeah, go ahead, do it. I don't know why it comes to us, but it's been one before, it's gonna be again, and I yield.
Thank you.
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Knoll.
You know, this property was used for that use from 87 to 2013. I think that's what the packet said. Obviously, a brief stint from Alloy, unfortunately. But it fits into the whole idea of that auto mall down there. And based on that, I would recommend in planning case 25-11, we approve the proposed conditional use permit subject to the conditions as listed in our packet.
I'll second that. I'll second that.
What was that?
Motion by Knoll, second by Knobloch. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. That's a decision by the planning commission and can be appealed to the city council within 10 business days if someone so chooses. Otherwise, good luck. Our next case is planning case 25-12, a comprehensive plan amendment for 2831 113th Avenue Northwest, City of Coon Rapids. Mr. Platzner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. So I'm including two requests in one presentation here. This is a request by city staff to re-guide the land use designation of the former Fire Station 3 property at 2831 113th Avenue from institutional to low-density residential, as well as to rezone the property from moderate-density residential and low-density residential 2 to the new zoning district of low-density residential 3. So this would be the first property in the city, if approved, to have the low-density residential 3 zoning designation. So this is a 2-acre property, formerly housing Fire Station 3, surrounded generally by single-family homes with a couple multifamily buildings around it, fronting 113th Avenue, and also crossing 113th Lane with a little bit of territory north of 113th Lane. So a PUD would not be an option for this property because it does not meet the 3-acre threshold. And city staff have put out a request for proposal for a developer to potentially request a plat for the lot to develop single-family homes. And in order to do so, staff think that because the PUD designation cannot be used for this property, that rezoning to low-density residential 3 would be most appropriate to allow for orderly and efficient use of the property for single-family residential homes. Staff think that 7 to 8 single-family homes would likely be able to fit on the property while meeting low-density residential 3 guidelines, with the possibility of needing a variance, possibly 2 variances, in a couple of locations where that's pretty much no way to do anything without a variance. But I won't go into detail on that right now. We're really just talking about the zoning and the land use. So the current land use on the property is institutional, which is appropriate for a fire station, though it does not allow any residential density. So for the property to be used for residential uses, that land use would need to change. So staff are requesting that it be re-guided to low-density residential, which allows in the comprehensive plan for 3 to 5 units per acre. So the estimated number of homes that could fit on the property of 7 to 8 would be between 7 homes would be 3.4 units per acre, 8 homes would be 3.9 units per acre. So this would fit within the 3 to 5 units an acre required in the low-density residential guidance for land use. For zoning, the property is currently, the southern half is zoned moderate density residential, the northern half is zoned LDR2. Moderate density residential does not allow for single-family homes, so that half would not be able to be used for the purpose of single-family homes. The northern half is oddly shaped and does have both a 30-foot wide sanitary sewer easement running through it, as well as 113th lane, so it's very awkward to try and subdivide. Trying to subdivide it for single-family homes under LDR2 zoning guidelines would be very difficult to do and not very efficient. So staff are recommending that the entire property be rezoned to LDR3. And just a reminder, the LDR3 district was approved by the city council at the most recent council meeting on this Monday. So it is now viable as an option for rezoning. The standards for LDR3 would be a minimum lot area of 7,200 square feet, minimum lot coverage of 50%, minimum lot width of 60 feet, and minimum lot depth of 120 feet, as well as living space setbacks of 25 feet on the front and rear, 7.5 feet on the side, and 15 feet on the street side. So I did just a little diagram showing what it could look like to subdivide this lot into 7, and I also did one for 8 lots. So you could have 4 conforming single-family residential lots along 113th Avenue to the south, and either 2 or 3, and I'll show that, fronting 113th Lane, south of 113th Lane, and then 1 north of 113th Lane on that little island there. And doing this, there would be 1 necessary required variance, which would be the northwesternmost property south of 113th Lane, which just is not deep enough and cannot be made deep enough to meet the 120-foot depth requirement without a variance. And then potentially the little island north of 113th Lane may also, it's very close to 120 feet in depth. So a potential second variance might be required. It's hard to see, but I did mark in blue a 30-foot sewer easement that runs north to south throughout the property that kind of confines how this property can be subdivided and means that this kind of orientation, this north-south orientation, is really the only way that works. This would be a potential 8-lot subdivision of the property. So the only change would be the three lots instead of 2 lots just south of 113th Lane. And the same variances would likely be required for this. This would not add any new variance requests. So with that, I did include recommended findings for approval for the comp plan amendment as well as for the rezoning. And these are required findings for any comp plan amendment as well as for any rezoning. I'm not going to go over them in detail. They're basically the same for the comp plan amendment and the rezoning, but I do have these as separate motions because these are separate items. So I will ask that the Planning Commission separate out these 2 motions instead of doing them as one motion. But with that, staff do recommend approval of the comprehensive plan amendment to re-guide the property to low-density residential, and also recommend approval of the proposed rezoning to rezone the property to LDR3. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, any questions for Mr. Platzner?
Yes.
Mr. Ronick?
The entrance to the fire station, what road is that?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Here, that,
Oh, that's 113th Avenue.
that's what?
113th Avenue. So we have both 113th Avenue and 113th Lane.
Is that a residential street?
It is, yes.
Okay. Do you already have a buyer?
Well, we have accepted a proposal conditionally. So the applicant would need to provide a plan that we could recommend approval of, I think, before we would be able to sell the property to that developer. So the sale is currently pending.
Is the city willing to kick anything in to sell this? Or is this gonna be, if they want it, here's the price?
Commissioner Ronick, I don't want to go into the details of those negotiations because I don't think this is the appropriate forum for it, but staff are working with the potential buyer to negotiate a price. The fact that staff are bringing forward the requested comp plan amendment and rezoning is kind of seen as a courtesy by staff to get these entitlements in place rather than having the buyer have to do that in the future after purchasing the property. Part of that is because if, for whatever reason, the Planning Commission and City Council choose not to approve the requested comp plan amendment and rezoning after the sale has already gone through, that's a bad situation for the buyer. Whereas if we do it before the sale has gone through, that insulates the buyer a little bit.
We lost our audience, by the way.
We sure did.
Commissioner, any other questions for Mr. Platzner?
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Knoll?
Mr. Patzner, on the, did you call it a sewer easement going through there? I'm sorry, I lost the wording on that.
Yep, that's right.
Is there setback requirements away from that?
Commissioner, no, the easement itself cannot be built on, but there are no
Right.
setbacks outside of the easement itself that limit construction.
And size-wise, as it affects 2 lots, am I right about that, or 4 lots?
Well, it currently affects only the Fire Station 3 lot and then is under the 113th Lane right-of-way north of that. But on this proposal, it would affect 4 lots, either with the 7 or 8 foot, or sorry, 7 or 8 lot option. So yeah, four lots would have essentially their side, two lots would have their side lot line drainage utility easements be 15 feet wide instead of 5 feet wide, essentially, because that 30-foot easement would be running down the middle. And then the 2 kind of northeastern lots fronting 113th Lane would have an awkward easement running through both of them. But staff find both would be buildable without any issues.
It doesn't encroach far enough where it's gonna make the house sit on one far side, or?
Not so much that it would make it so the house does not meet setback standards.
Okay.
Any home would be able
Okay.
to meet setback standards.
Good, thank you.
Of course.
All right, we need a public hearing in this matter, so at this time, I'll open a public hearing in planning case 25-12. Comprehensive plan amendment for 2831 113th Avenue Northwest. Anyone wish to speak to this public hearing? Anyone wish to speak? Seeing none, close public hearing, limit comments to the commission.
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Knoll?
Just think it feels like a good use of the land, in utilizing the new LDR3 standard will allow us to get a few more single-family homes in there, which I think aligns with the comprehensive plan. So to me, it makes some sense, and I would recommend on planning case 2512 that we approve the proposed comprehensive plan amendment based on the findings as listed in our packet.
I'll second that.
Motion by Noah, second by Knobloch. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And that motion carries. It's a recommendation by the Planning Commission, and a decision by the City Council at their October 7th meeting. Next, we have the case 25-13, the rezoning to LDR3 for the same lot. at 2831 113th Avenue. Presentation's already been made. To have a public hearing in this matter at this time, I will open the public hearing in planning case 25-13 to rezone the LDR 2831 113th Avenue Northwest. Anyone wish to speak to this public hearing? Anyone wish to speak? Hearing none, close public hearing. Mr. Platzner, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Mr. Chair, no, I have nothing to add.
All right. Commission, thoughts, concerns, motions?
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Knobloch.
The rezoning, I think, is of a lot of hard work, and it's a good development to provide utilization of odd-shaped parcels of land in the city. And I commend the Planning Commission on all their work and effort in it. And if no one has anything else to say, I would say to, in planning case 25-13, to recommend approval of this rezoning
I second.
Based on the findings,
based
Or
on the
the
findings as listed
three
in
findings
our-
listed?
Yeah, in 1, 2, 3.
Motion by Knobloch, second by Roniak. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that motion carries. This is a recommendation by the Planning Commission, will be introduced by the City Council at their October 7th meeting, and a decision by the City Council at their October 21st meeting. And moving on to other business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. I don't really have anything in detail to go over. We don't have any applications for the October meeting, so I plan on canceling the October meeting. Sorry, it's been a year full of that. I would be very surprised if we didn't have anything for the November meeting. There are a couple potential items that we expect might come through that I was hoping would come through in time for October. I will begin discussing those once we've received application. I don't want to, in a public forum, discuss items that have not been applied for yet. In terms of work currently being done, nothing brand new. I actually have not yet driven by to see, because that's not a way that I go every day, but I'm told that the demolition of the BP on Crooked Lake Boulevard and Coon Rapids Boulevard has begun, which I'm very excited to announce. That has been in the works for over 2 years. So I'm really glad that is being started, and that we're going to get to see something new go up there. Work is continuing to be done at Butternut and University at the townhome projects there. Other than those two sites, as far as major sites, I think we're still in kind of a holding pattern with a lot of the other developments. But I do expect to see some motion on those within the next 6 months, I hope. So maybe I'll have more for you at the November meeting. But for now, that's all I really have. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Commission, anyone have anything under other business?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
Motion by Roniak, second by Knobloch. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Mac?